Hi everyone, Asim here again, your host and founder of Healingclouds. Today we're here with somebody really interesting who has an amazing story and is doing something extremely empowering. We're speaking to Stephen Crompton, who is the founder of Challenged Child Poverty, which is on a mission to help alleviate the suffering of children that are in extreme poverty. And you're doing this by staging mass endurance running events around the world to raise funds and awareness. How are you, Stephen?
Hi, Asim. Thanks for having me. I'm good. I'm looking forward to sharing some of my story with you and hoping that other people can resonate with it and get something from it.
Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you so much. And to be honest, man, your story obviously resonates with me as well, because I had a similar background growing up, but I wish I was doing half of the things that you are doing today, which is extremely empowering to me. So I'm gonna kickstart with the questions. First up, I recently read an article which said running saved your life. Could you elaborate a little bit on that, and what is the backstory to that?
Yeah, for sure. At a young age, I got involved with drugs and went down the wrong slope. Got involved with the wrong crowd of people. My mother was suffering with alcoholism and depression after divorcing my father. I was around 10 years of age at the time. By 11 years of age, I was smoking cannabis, taking other types of drugs, and due to the bad home life, that became to me, that was just so exciting. I just wanted to, it was a great way to escape what was going on at home. And by the age of 13, I was taking ecstasy and amphetamines and cocaine and all sorts of drugs, which eventually leads to crime, to pay for the drugs, and takes you down a really dark path very quickly as well. At that age, you're meant to be learning about life and building up your ability to build relationships and learn things and learn about the world, and instead you're going down a road of just survival mode, using drugs, and it's devastating. I went on, I got into a lot of trouble. I was heavily addicted to several drugs, and at the age of, I was about 16 and a half, I said, I really don't want this life. My friends were starting to use heroin and crack cocaine, and it scared the life out of me. So I decided I was going to join the British military and escape this life. And looking back, it is probably, definitely the best thing that I ever done at that time. But I joined the military, and I was extremely proud. I passed basic training, no problem, because I'd come from a very difficult, challenging childhood, and getting screamed at, and now getting disciplined wasn't a problem, because actually I grew up with in Germany when my father was in the military, and it was like being brought up by a sergeant major in a way. So the screaming and shouting, the discipline wasn't a problem for me. So I loved the military. I felt, and the one thing that I loved about it was because we had a broken family, and didn't really have that home life, and my mum was suffering with alcoholism and depression. The family you build in the military was great. I really loved it, and I found it quite, I wouldn't say easy, but it was, for me, it was quite easy because I'm now getting paid to keep fit, and that was the first time for me where I realized how good physical training can make you feel, and actually how the system gets flooded, with feel-good chemicals,
Right.
and it can become quite addictive, that feeling as well. But within a year of the training dying down and going into phase 2 and sat around on courses, eventually I started drinking with the boys and down the town, and it's quite a big culture within the army. And remember one night we'd gone out for a few beers, gone into the bookmakers, and one of my friends had put some money on the roulette machine. I put £3 on one number, and that number had come in, 36 to 1 chance. It came in, I won £128.
Wow.
It was off of £3. You know, I'm a young soldier earning a very small amount of money, and I've come from a very challenging background. I feel like I'm on top of the world. You know, I just £128, and that hooked me so hard. Within 6 months, I was thousands of pounds in debt. I was taking out contract phones just to sell the phones to get money because I had no money, or payday loans. I'd become extremely addicted to gambling because obviously I'd come from I started taking drugs at a young age. I had little self-awareness at that stage. The training in the military in the early days was just, the hard training that we were doing only acted as a distraction. Once that died down, my underlying conditions and my conditioning started to come out, you know, and I became addicted to gambling very, very quickly. And within 2 years, I had, you know, and bearing in mind this was the proudest, I was an extremely proud soldier, and I was proud to have turned my life around, and I was proud to have left that life behind me, and then, you know, something I fought really hard to get away from, but unfortunately the gambling had grabbed a hold of me, and I had put about £400 into a fruit machine one night in the bar, and I was just, after a year, I was in a lot of debt. I had no money. I was struggling to eat. It was devastating, and I lost my temper, and I came back in the evening and smashed this fruit machine up in the bar and took my money out of it on camp, and that was it. That was the end of my army career. 2 years into it, you know, and I look back now and I'm over it, but I remember walking out of that military base, you know, absolutely screaming, crying, devastated. I knew where I was going back to. I couldn't contemplate, I couldn't comprehend like how I'd ended up where I was, and so I'm off down to the train station now to get a train home, discharged from the army, and going back to the life I'd fought so hard to get away from.
Wow.
And it was tough. But I got 6 cans of beer, got on the train, went home, got a neat bottle of spirits, and just, you know, I was so emotionally distressed I couldn't even breathe. I felt like I was just suffocating in this distress. So I'm back to where I started, and I remember drinking that bottle of spirits and going into the bathroom, just crying my eyes out. I locked myself in the bathroom and took a blade out of a razor in it and just started cutting my wrist.
Wow.
I was so devastated, and my brother was at my mum's house at the time, and he kicked the door in, and they rang the ambulance and cleaned me up and stuff, and they was going to arrest me for my own safety. But cut a long story short, I as soon as they had gone, I ran down the town and got arrested. I was kicking and punching everything that I could. I just couldn't control the emotion that was going on inside of me, and I later got arrested. And the next morning when I got released, after that I just didn't want to be around anyone. I spent months and months like on and off the streets, really. Started smoking heroin and crack cocaine and drinking bottles of spirits, and within 6 months I'd gone from turning my life around and serving Her Majesty to being arrested and put in prison for stealing a load of alcohol from a pub. I nicked about 3 holdalls full of alcohol just to drink myself into the ground, because I was just completely gone emotionally and spiritually, completely bankrupt. I had no idea of how I was going to get myself out of the situation I was in. And from there I came out of prison. I got a 4-month sentence in prison. I came out, and took me, I sort of existed. I survived for 5 years, really. I was trying to turn my life around. I was trying to fight the addictions, the alcohol. I never wanted to go back to prison. That was one thing that I learned from my time in prison, is I just never wanted to go back there, and I never did. So, I came out with, that's the only thing I really learned, was that I didn't want to go to prison again. But, you know, I hadn't changed as a person. You know, my programming, my conditioning, my issues hadn't been resolved or anything. So I'm just released back into society. I've not really got any more awareness than I had when I went in there, and it was a hard battle for about 5 years. I would go a month. You know, I'd be really fighting hard to try and fight these subconscious programs that I had within me, and I'd go sometimes a month without drinking or gambling, and then I'd just completely lose it. You know, I'd one weekend I'd go on a complete bender and lose all my money, and that would just spiral out of control. And you'd spend the next few months just depressed and down again, and you'd keep fighting and trying to get yourself back up. But it was a very nasty, ugly battle with addictions. But when I look back now, I look at it as a beautiful journey, but in the time you don't look at it like that. But the running came in. I just broke up with my second girlfriend. I'd been together for 3 years, and at that stage I decided enough was enough. The pain of staying that same way, you know, battling the drugs and the gambling and the alcohol, it wasn't who I was, and it wasn't who I envisioned. It's not how I envisioned my life to go, and it's definitely not what I wanted to achieve. You know, I was always an ambitious guy. I just couldn't beat these addictions and stuff that were holding me back, and so I started to make myself accountable for my issues. You know, stop blaming, stop pushing it on because I've had a bad childhood or because I've had these experiences. You know, I started to take accountability of my mental health and go, do you know what, I'm going to fight and do whatever I have to do to get my mind strong enough so nothing or no one can take me down. And that's when I started running. So I started running. I would do a 12-hour shift on the building site every day, and then in the evenings I would run 10 kilometers. And I signed up to my first half marathon, Exeter Great West Run. Trained for a couple of months. During this time I started doing some therapy, GA meetings, Gambling Anonymous, which I only went to about 4 or 5 meetings, but what that did was help me to realize that my problem, I wasn't alone, and that it's an issue that can hit anybody from any walk of life. It doesn't matter whether you've had a bad childhood or a good childhood, or you've got, you know, a successful business and family, or you haven't got anything like that. It really doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anybody, and that gave me some belief, actually, that I could turn it around, because I'm listening to people from all walks of life that could turn it around. So that was massively helpful for me. But the running came in. I signed up to my first half marathon, and I really wanted to get under 1 hour 30. It gave me something positive to focus on whilst I was trying to deal with all the underlying conditioning. And I remember I ran, and I finished in 1 hour 30, 44 seconds. I was 44 seconds over my target, and it was quite frustrating at the time, but I was just it was amazing, because when you're running, you train hard and you put all this effort into something, and then you see a result at the end of it. It's really good feeling, and it doesn't matter what time you get, really. It's just, even just completing it is a massive sense of completion, and it just gives you a good feeling. I mean, running down that home straight, you've got thousands of people cheering you and clapping, and you just feel like somebody, you know. And that was the start of my running journey, really. And then I sort of kept running up after that. and I kept on signing up to a few half marathons, and actually didn't do too bad in, you know, seeing as I really took it up at 26 after a decade or 16 years maybe of drug use and smoking and you know, a very stressful sort of time. It's I managed to train hard and run a 1:20 at Bournemouth half marathon, finished 17th out of 3,500. So, you know, that was a level of determination.
That's amazing.
So,
Wow, good on you, mate.
Yeah, so that's the level of determination you need to overcome, you know, mental health, addictions, and stuff like that. And the physical training was a big start in giving me the strength and the feel good chemicals, you know, to help me fight my mental health and help me build on it, because you need a lot of energy. You need to be prepared to really make it your priority, because it should. Your mental health, we neglect it far too much, and it needs to be right on the top of the list on priorities, because if you can't control your mind, then everyone and everything else will. So it's really important. And so I've kept running up ever since that, really. The 1:20 at the Bournemouth half marathon was definitely, I think that'll go down as one of my favourite moments in my life. You know, it's just great. I remember just finishing and I put so much work into that. I was running 70 miles a week, working 12 hours a day, doing GA meetings and working on my mind as well during that time. And it's a real sense of completion, that, and it's great, and made me want to challenge myself further. But I knew that I was limited to how fast I could get in the running due to the age that I'm starting at and stuff. But I wanted to challenge myself further, and I signed up to a TV program called the SAS Who Dares Wins, and that was an amazing time, because I've been discharged from the army. I lost a lot of pride and a lot of, you know, sort of self-esteem. My self-esteem was just gone. You know, I didn't feel like, I just didn't like myself. I didn't love myself or anything, and because of that. And this show came up, and it was, you know, go out to the South American jungle to be trained by the Special Forces, and it's like a reality TV series to see how far you can go. And I just knew straight away this was going to be the way that I'm going to get my self-esteem and pride back, and maybe this is a way to put that to bed, you know, that discharge from the army. And I got on the show, you know, without a doubt, in questioning my mind. I knew from the off that I was going to do well. I was I had too much lying on finishing strong and winning it and completing it, you know. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I did make a lot of mistakes because of that, but I absolutely smashed it, finished in 3rd place.
Oh, wow.
Finished in 3rd place out of 25 guys that started. Was 2 hours away from the end of the actual whole competition, so that was absolutely incredible. Gave me a real chance to overcome the discharge from the army and build up some pride, and you know, put that sort of part of my life to bed. But that's what you have to do, keep on challenging yourself. It's not, you know, it's like the running helped me, give me some space to work on my mental health and go to therapy and give me the energy to work on things. But it's also just keep challenging yourself in different areas, because the stronger you get, the harder it is for anything else to affect you, you know. So I'm always pushing, and I went out and did some volunteering out in Uganda, 2018. And
can I ask you something before that, Stephen? Because, I mean,
for sure.
you know, it's extremely empowering. First of all, you know where you've come today, but it's also really tough. I mean, just listening to you, it was so heavy on my chest just listening to your story, and I was just trying to imagine, from the time before army to the time after army, and then obviously finally you're here. But what I'm really interested to know is, what was the real trigger point? Because obviously you tried to quit before, then you had a relapse, and then you tried again there was a relapse. But what was the real trigger point? Why this time around you are where you are today? Like, is there something? Because unfortunately, it's really sad, how many people go that route. A lot of people overdose, a lot of people commit suicide, a lot of people just don't make it, a lot of people don't get the chance that you've gotten today, and a lot of people are still in that. So what was your trigger point?
Do you know what? For me, in all honesty, I had reached a point where I knew that if I carried on the way that I was going, that I wouldn't be alive today. And I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to turn this around. I don't want to die, and I want to try and do something good with my life. And I think you've got to just have the courage to go, and sometimes the courage you need to go and walk that path alone. Sometimes, if you're in a bad circle, or you're involved with or a negative circle of, if you've got addictions, drug problems, or whatever, and you're in a group of people that are constantly using drugs, you have to have the courage to break away. And you have to, if you've got alcohol problems, you might have to have the courage to break away from certain circles of friends as well. And for me, I just thought, do you know what, I would rather walk my own path to get to where I want to be, and risk losing everything, because at the end of the day, I'm going to risk losing my life if I don't take the course of action to turn this around now. And I've always wanted to do something great with my life, not just with my life, but I've always wanted to make a difference. And I've always, from a very sort of back to when I was 10 years of age, I remember I always wanted just to do something great. And at that point in my life, I just broke up with a relationship, and I just knew there was only two ways to go from there. It was, my mental energy and the battle, over 16 years of battling addictions, everything that I've been through. I just, I'm gonna fight my way to be to where I want to be, and nobody's going to get in my way, nobody's going to stop me, because otherwise I'm going down into the ground, and I don't want to go, I don't want to die. I don't want to waste my life. I want to use it. I want to make the most of it, and I want to be proud of myself. It's really important to me, and I think it's different for everybody. And for some reason, we always wait till we hit rock bottom before we make these changes. Yeah, I think that mental health needs to sort of be a priority all the time, because that we don't need to hit rock bottom, because rock bottom sometimes is the end of life for some people.
Correct.
I feel very fortunate, I feel very fortunate. I've got friends that have died, and under 30 years of age, and I've got friends in mental health hospitals from taking the drugs. The group of friends that we hung around with at a young age, there's several of that group in mental health hospitals, and there's good guys and good people that just wasn't able to find the support they needed, or get the support they needed at that time. And it's devastating, and I'm just very fortunate that I was able to go, do you know what, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to suffer. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to turn my life around. And the training, for me, the running and the training, just, I loved it. I just pushed myself hard. And the stronger I got, the more fight I had to battle my mental health.
That's amazing, man. Well, I'm glad you did that. hence why you're doing the work that you're doing. So last year you were in Uganda, and you did a lot of extensive work on charity, especially with children. Would you say that has transformed you, or has helped you look at the world and life that we live in with a different perspective? I mean, if you can share some insights from that.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey for me. It was an intuitive thought that took me out to do the work that I was doing, and it has changed. It changed my whole perspective on life, in general. I feel much more gratitude, for everything that we have, everything that we have at our disposal. We've got such potential and such ability to create whatever we want, and it's all just the other side of our mindset and our comfort zone and our beliefs, and it's going out there and seeing how little possibility there is for working with these kids. That I was kids 4 years of age on the streets sniffing rocket fuel, nowhere to go, no home to go home to. Just obviously that was something that connected with me, although I don't remember anything as bad as that at that age, but definitely that trauma at a young age was something I resonated with, and I couldn't walk away from that. I remember as well, the end of the 3 months volunteering out in Uganda. We had a boat ride down the River Nile as like a sort of our reward for the 3 months of volunteering at the end, and it was on that boat I decided to surrender myself and say that I'm going to spend the rest of my life making a difference to help children out of extreme poverty around the world and help them into education. And not only that, we're going to go one further and work on the prevention of extreme child poverty. So it's really empowered me to be able to use my own personal experiences in life, and also my just unbreakable beliefs and the ability to just make stuff happen. I'm not afraid to do, or running a charity with setting up Challenge Child Poverty when I got back was hard work. Working full time and setting up a charity in all your spare time is hard work, but really rewarding. It gives me purpose, it gives me meaning, and it really makes me feel like I'm making a massive contribution to the world. And I believe that children are the future of this planet, and we need to recognise that and try to help them and educate them the best we can to create a better future for everybody. So something I'm very passionate about, and it's given me it's crazy really. Sometimes I think it's taken a while to build it up, and we're still building. It's going to take. We've got a 3 to 5 year plan.
Right.
As you all know, things take time to really build, and but we've got a great team. We've got 4 trustees, a full board team of board members, and we've got another 8 trustees. We've got a great team of people that really believe in the vision for Challenge Child Poverty, and we're going to be staging our first mass endurance running event in June next year. It was meant to be this year, but obviously that's postponed due to the pandemic. But it's coming along nicely, and I'm really excited to, our goal is to try and save 1 million children off the streets and give them access to education in 5 years. So that's amazing. I like to set the goal high, because even if you only get halfway to that, then you're doing a good job.
I truly believe, Stephen, that if you're focused on really truly serving people, you do attract the right people and the right circumstances around you. So hence why you have obviously, you know, this team with you, and I have no doubt in mind that you will attract the right, you know, your goals of helping people. But would you also say that, you know, obviously you had a tough upbringing and a tough childhood, but that has made you that much stronger and that much more resilient, and you know, to face the challenges that you had in the army, or to face this challenge now that you're trying to create this charity with, you know, the spare time that you have, which is obviously hard work. But I think your motivation is completely different, and it is different just because of the background that you have. I mean, if you did not have that life, you would obviously be a different person, but then your motivation or your drivers would also be different to what it is today.
Yeah. No, it's no, you're definitely right there. And a part of my healing, if you like, on my journey has been having gratitude for that journey, you know, through life. And the way that I found peace is to be grateful for the challenges that I've faced and the lessons that I've learned from them. It's a way that I've found great healing is through, and also not just healing but strength, because when you can truly be at peace with the struggles you face in your life and have gratitude for the lessons, any challenges in front of you, you're able to then face as a way to learn from every challenge that you're faced with. So there's little really that can, I guess it's a system that I've put in place that works for me, and you know, it protects me from any challenges bringing me down, because I only look at it with a perception of, this is an opportunity to grow, how can I learn from it, not, oh, this is really bad. Like, you know, I'm always looking at things from a positive angle of how I can learn from it. And without going through the things that I went through in my life, I certainly wouldn't, I don't know where I would be. I wouldn't choose this path. I certainly wouldn't choose this path, like, because as we said previously, some people don't make it, and that's really sad. And that's why I love what you're doing with Healingclouds, and, you know, trying to get to being accessible and affordable, and getting to helping as many people as possible, because some people need help and they need it, you know, as soon as possible. It's not really so yeah, I'm definitely it's who I am today is because of the journey that I've gone through.
But it also starts by obviously starts from you, speaking out, seeking for help, being vulnerable, because I mean, you're being vulnerable now on this podcast, but you've been vulnerable throughout as well. I mean, if people follow you and follow your journey, they will know that you're very, I mean you speak openly, candidly about your struggles and how you've come through. So I mean, how would you say therapy and being vulnerable has helped you, you know, so far? And would you encourage people to be, you know, vulnerable and actually reach out for help?
Yeah, being vulnerable is a big part of sort of overcoming yourself, if you like, you know, that programming that you call yourself or not. But for me, vulnerability, being honest with yourself and others as well, that brutal sort of honesty of what's going on inside of you, and you need to be that vulnerable and honest with yourself and with others, because that sort of really helps you, you know, get through and find and get the help you need. So I would really recommend anyone just to be 100% honest with themselves and others around them. You know, don't worry about being vulnerable, because I make myself vulnerable every day, and I'm stronger than, you know, I'm an extremely strong guy. Just because I make myself vulnerable, it doesn't make me weak. There's this sort of misconception, isn't there, making yourself vulnerable, or, you know, I'm an emotional guy, but I'm also very strong, you know, like, it's,
I think it's harder to speak up, and it's harder to be vulnerable. It's a lot easier to do the complete opposite.
No, it is, because it's uncomfortable. It's not what we know, you know. It's it's from a very young age. It's sometimes, you know, drilled into us that that's not the way you behave. So it's the unknown, and it's anything in the unknown is uncomfortable, and stepping outside of that. But my advice to people would be that look at how being in that comfort zone is serving you, and just find that courage to step outside of it, because it's if you're in a bad place but you're just worried to step outside, just know that staying in that place is not serving you. So you need to step outside and just dare to make yourself vulnerable, and it will certainly help you, you know. And accountable, you know, I really believe that accountability, making yourself accountable, you know, like it's not our fault, a lot of things that happen to us in life, but it's our responsibility to deal with it and to make it count. My favorite saying is to make it count, you know. All right, I've been through a lot of struggles, I've been through a lot of tough times, but I'm going to make it count. I'm going to use it. It's going to make me strong, not make me weak.
How and where do you see first your charity, but also the world in the next couple of years, let's say 5 years down the line? How would you want the world to be?
You know, I've got like two parts to me. There's this part that really wants to. I'm quite an entrepreneurial sort of person. There's a part of me that wants to go into business and make a lot of money so I can make a difference in the world. And then there's a part of me that just wants to, you know, live in peace in, you know, the world, you know, full of compassion and love and kindness for one another. And I would love to see the world more connected. You know, community spirit is just non-existent. It's been really great actually around this time of COVID-19, you know, going out the door and clapping with the whole street, and it's that's really brought people together, and I hope that stays. I do know that we tend to have short-term memory, and
unfortunately, yes.
The society and the, you know, the sort of struggles that we have to maintain our current lives takes over. You know, bills and mortgages, and you have to go to work, and it all just takes over again. And I think people really need to just try to stay conscious and become more aware of and remember. So, you know, make quotes or memories and remember, you know, that it's important to stay connected, and yeah, I would love to see the world much more connected, and just, you know, people not judging each other and accepting one another for their differences and supporting each other. You know, that'd be my idea of a beautiful world.
I completely agree with you, but and I'd like to emphasize the fact that I mean, you know, we are going through time of crisis, but it's really beautiful to see how the whole, not just the country, but the whole world has got together. We're all sharing the same problem. We're all going through the same situation at this point in time. And it's really beautiful to see, like, you know, everybody's coming out, clapping for the frontliners, but we're all collectively also as one unit sharing and experiencing the same issues and conditions. So it has obviously got us together, but like you rightly said, unfortunately, we do also have a short-term memory. So, I mean, as long as people remember, people remember and people continue and carrying this on, I think that is the only thing that we need to have. And we can not just tackle COVID, but we can tackle so many other things coming on. Because yes, it's unfortunate, and this is my opinion, but yes, it's unfortunate that we're going through COVID. But then, what you're doing now with child poverty and kids not having a decent meal to eat, that has been going on for n number of years. I mean, it just because it is unfortunately not our reality. Like you rightly said, when you come back, I mean, we're so fortunate to have what we have. So I mean, just to be mindful on that, and just to remember and collectively work as a unit, we can tackle so many bigger things like child poverty. I mean, exactly what you're doing. So yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, no, it's we can only hope and be the change. One of the things that I said to myself all the time is that if I want to see a change in the world, then I have to be that change. It starts with ourselves, and if you want to see a difference in the world, you have to look within yourself first to see if any of that's within you, and deal with that first before you can look at making, if everybody did that, then the world would be a much better place. So
absolutely. Absolutely. That's really beautiful, Stephen. I mean, first of all, I mean, it's amazing what you're doing, but it's amazing. I mean, all the adversity that you've gone through, and finally, I mean, you've become the person you are today. I mean, that's just fantastic. I mean, only if everybody who had or perhaps is having such a tough time can have that mind shift and actually try and make that change within themselves, and then that'll not only help them, but it'll help everybody around them as well. So right. I commend you, I congratulate you, and once again, thank you so much for doing this with us today. I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with your story, and I'm sure a lot of people will get help from this conversation today. But before I let you go, can you please tell everybody how can they find the work that you're doing, your charity, and also how can they find you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, thank you very much. We have a website for the charity, challengechildpoverty.org.uk, and the social links on Instagram is challenge_child_poverty. You can find me on LinkedIn, Stephen Crompton, with a V, not a PH. Everyone always gets that wrong. Yeah, I mean, anybody, I'm always trying to help others. I'm not a qualified therapist or anything, but I've been in a lot of experiences throughout my life, and if anyone wants to reach out and wants any advice, then I'm always happy to share my personal experiences, and maybe that can help people. So please, get in touch.
Thank you so much. Yes, please do get in touch with Stephen. I truly enjoyed having a conversation with you today, and I'm sure a lot of people with similar backgrounds or even not will find a lot of value in talking with you. So once again, thank you so much, Stephen, for doing with us, chatting with us today, and best of luck with everything that you're doing, and I hope you continue and carry on your excellent work, and yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Asim. It's been a pleasure.